This show may contain adult language and themes. Listener discretion is advised. With that out of the way, let's start the show. To Murder Is My Sign podcast, a true crime astrology podcast. I'm your host, Jordy Death, here to let your way through true crime astrology storm. And today is our side slice episode since we just finished our series on Bonnie and Clyde. As promised, in studio, I have the one, the only, the fabulous, and you heard his voice in the last episode of Bonnie and Clyde, Mr. Kyle.
Hey, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm just doing fantabulous. I'm so happy to have you here and to take part in one of these episodes because I know it's something that we've been talking about for a while and wanting to actually do our own podcast, which was your idea, and I thought that was really cool. Kyle's here. We've been hanging out for the last couple of days. Yesterday was my birthday, which was, I had a fantastic day. And I just gotta say thank you so much for spending it with me. And a shout out to Valerie, who also hung out with us. We decided to stay in and all cook together and watch Rocky Horror Picture Show, which Valerie's actually never seen. And it's one of my favorite movies. I think I've seen it damn near 50 plus times. And you've seen it multiple times too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you ever been to like one of the midnight showings and like where people like dressed up and like threw like hot dogs?
Asshole!
Yeah, slut!
Not in a number of years, probably about 10 years, maybe longer, but yes, definitely have.
Yeah. I don't know if I've been to one in, like, Milwaukee. I know Milwaukee at the Oriental Theater, they do it, like, we found this out. It's every second Saturday of the month. I thought it was the first, because then it would have been perfect for Saturday on the 2nd. Or Saturday's the 1st, I guess. Yeah. Huh, there's a calendar behind you. Yeah, it says the 1st. But yeah, alas, it does not, it's not gonna work out that way. Anywho, so, been thinking about kind of like what we wanted to talk about, because originally in this episode my friend Lucas was going to come over, and sorry Lulu if you're listening to this, kind of forgot to text you. We were really busy just watching movies and being pieces of shit all day, so this is kind of like a throwaway episode. So if you don't like this kind of shit, honestly, I understand. Tune in next week on the 7th, which is actually Valerie's birthday, when I release part 1 of the Ken and Barbie Killers. Gotta get going on that pretty soon. Anywho, so for this episode, it's gonna be kind of short and sweet, but I kind of figured we could talk about, like, I don't know, horror movies and what our first horror movie experiences were, and, the ones that we watched that we just really fell in love with, like, as kids.
Definitely fit the theme of the week.
Yeah, I mean, because we've been spending the week watching a lot of horror movies. And that's one of the main things I love about you, because I remember when we first started dating, we would watch like a lot of cheesy horror movies, and quickly found out that you have a love for bad movies.
Oh, yes.
What would you say is like one of your top favorite bad movies?
Bad movie. Well, I guess we kind of got to talk about what a bad movie is for me.
Oh, sure, yeah.
It's a movie where people tried. They wrote a script, and they hired actors and costumers, and so, they tried to make a movie, and they just failed miserably for one reason or another. Because there's good, bad, and there's bad. But for me, good, bad, it doesn't get much better than Hellraiser 4, Bloodline. If you've ever seen that.
Is that the one in space?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yes, I remember we watched that together. My good friend Bryce.
Well, that's right. We did watch that, didn't we?
Yeah. My good friend Bryce, we would watch a lot of the Hellraisers together. That was like kind of our thing, and I was always kind of shocked that they came up with like another one. Recently, or maybe back in October, so I borrowed a couple of the Hellraiser series from work, and I remember watching the one where they're like online. I can't remember if that might be Inferno.
It's either that or Hellworld, maybe. Like it's like
it might be Hellworld.
There's a lot of them, and
Yeah.
I think I have the first 7 or 8, but there might be 10 or 11 now. I don't even know.
Kind of like Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
So Friday the 13th was my go-to. If you guys all of a sudden like hear a better quality of sound, it's just because I figured out a different a different setting on the Yeti. So anywho, sorry about that. Yeah, like horror movie franchises that just go on and on and on. Friday the 13th is is the first one that comes to mind for me that is long running, because it's 10 movies within that series, plus Freddy vs. Jason, plus the reboot.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think your definition of a bad, good movie is really good. Now that we have that basis.
Yeah. Because, like, let's see, today we watched Troll.
Yes.
And Troll 2.
Yes.
And there's two things I think that are pretty obvious standing out first, is that Troll is infinitely better than Troll 2, which isn't saying a lot, but it's like saying a shit sandwich is better than a turd nuclear bomb.
Well, and like a lot of people could like make the case, or like, well, of course the first one's always going to be better than the sequel. But if you guys haven't watched Troll and Troll 2, let us just inform you that they are two completely separate movies. They have nothing to do with each other. Troll 2 was made, and it was originally going to be called Goblins, but they called it Troll 2 because Troll came out in like 86.
Sounds right.
And it did mediocre. Like, it's not a great movie. It's not even a horror movie. I mean, the special effects are really cool and kind of sort of gross, but it's not like a slasher film or anything like that.
It kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you've ever seen it. We're talking about Troll here, the original. Reminds me of Ernest Scared Stupid. I don't know if we're talking about bad horror movies. But I don't know if you can call that a horror movie, but
the Troll reminds me of, and I've never even seen this movie, but it's what I would think of what the Leprechaun franchise is.
Yeah, you know what? Those are movies I saw like 15, maybe even 20 years ago now, and it's been so long that I remember like the titles. Like, I think Leprechaun 4 is Leprechaun in the Hood.
Yeah.
In the Hood. There's some pretty bad ones.
It's like I don't want to say like the legend, but it's like the badness of the movie almost like predates itself or something. Like, I don't know if I'm articulating exactly what I want to say, but it's like I haven't even seen those movies yet. Like, I know a lot.
People know that they're terrible,
right? And like I know like they made one like In the Hood or whatever. It's ridiculous, and I think that was like Jennifer Aniston's first movie, The Leprechaun.
Lord.
Yeah. Well, it's weird too because Julia Louis-Dreyfus was in Troll.
Yeah.
This was her first major movie debut. And anyone who knows me, like if we're at like home or someone's place and we're watching a movie, the first thing I'm always doing is I'm on my phone reading IMDb trivia, because I love movie trivia. I love behind the scenes stuff. And so I guess Conan O'Brien loves Troll 2.
I believe that.
Yeah, that's like one of his favorite movies. And then he had Julia Louis-Dreyfus on the show and ended up showing a clip of her in Troll, to which she was not happy. She was actually really pissed off because she wants to distance herself from that role as much as possible. And like, I understand. Like, she's damn near naked in the entire movie. But yeah, so yeah, Troll and Troll 2, I actually heard about those movies from my colleague Rachel, who I work with, who also loves horror movies and loves bad horror movies too. So she was kind enough to let me borrow that before she bought it.
Because it's my understanding that these are the first time you've seen both of these films.
Yes.
It has been, I've seen Troll 2, I've watched every 5 years or so. Troll I have not seen in probably at least a decade.
Oh, okay.
But if these are the first time seeing these two, I'm pretty sure then you probably haven't seen. There's a documentary called Best Worst Movie.
No, I've not seen it. I remember hearing about it. Like, you've told me kind of a little bit about it.
It's wow. I don't even know how to.
Well, it's so funny because like as soon as I started like looking up Troll 2 on IMDb, like that was the first movie that came up as like recommendations that you might like.
Yeah. You definitely will. it's one of the few cases where the documentary is better than the movie. that they're talking about.
I believe it.
It's
Yeah.
like anybody doing anything about The Room is probably infinitely better than the actual film The Room.
Okay, is The Room different than Room?
No, The Room is yes, they're two different films.
Okay.
I think one is where a woman and her kid are like raised
she's abducted.
yeah.
Okay.
No, The Room is one of the best / worst / best again movies ever made, because it was the guy who wrote it, directed it, starred in it. If I remember right, his name is Tommy Wiseau.
Oh yeah. Okay. This is all coming back to me like a bad Vietnam flashback. I've never seen it, but they did a James Franco. And
they did a remake
called
yes,
like a mockumentary
yes.
called The Disaster Artist.
Yes.
And a lot of people at work a couple of months ago were going to go see The Room because Tommy Wiseau was going to be there or whatever. And I've never seen it, but I've heard it's like legendary.
It's legendarily bad. I mean, it's like they do midnight showings of it like Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh,
like
God.
It's that level of bad, but at least Rocky Horror Picture Show was done competently. The Room was not.
Well, and also Rocky Horror was actually based on a Broadway
Right.
musical and stuff. And it's going back to...
It's bad for completely different reasons.
Right.
Like I wouldn't even call Rocky Horror Picture Show bad.
No, it's not.
Me personally.
No. And if anyone out there does think Rocky Horror Picture Show is bad, please come here. I'll fight you. By all means. I will beat you to the ground. But going kind of back on
asshole.
Yeah, slut! I'm lucky, she is lucky, he is lucky, we're all lucky. The Bannister's lucky. No, it's not. She has syphilis. That was really funny to see Valerie's reaction to some of the callbacks I was doing last night. Because I cannot not watch that movie and yell at the screen or do the time warp or all that stuff. But yeah, okay, so talking about The Room, even though I've never seen it, I do know enough pop culture and meme references to know that, oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Is one of the things in The Room. And I just happen to work with a Mark at work. And every time I see him, I'm like, oh, hi, Mark. And he's seen the movie. He gets it. He's a good sport. It's kind of funny.
There's a lot of, once you've seen it, and it's one of those movies where it's I've seen maybe 3/4 of it over different periods of time, because I've never been able to sit through the whole thing because it's that bad.
Right.
But there's things where it's once you hear him, it's you're tearing me apart, Lisa! And shit like that. It's just hilariously bad.
See, it's one of the really good movies I could just sit down and cross-stitch to, because I'm not going to be engrossed. I'm probably not going to care. I could just sit there, do my little arts and crafts, and have something on for the background.
But it's one of those movies where you watch them, and once you see something, it can't be unseen.
Car accident?
No. I was thinking of Top Gun.
Oh, sure.
You've seen Top Gun, right, with Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
Next time you watch that movie, there's 6 bathroom shower scenes where everybody's in their underwear. It's accidentally the most homoerotic movie of the 80s. And once you go back and watch it again, and once you've seen it, it cannot be unseen.
Yes, yeah. It's when I pointed out that Tom Cruise has a tooth in the direct center of his face. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Google this if you guys don't believe me. Tom Cruise smile, and you'll see that one of his middle tooth is exact center of his Cupid's bow.
That's the Xenu tooth.
Xenu tooth. Something with Scientology, right? Whatever. Anywho, so it's funny. Okay, talking about The Room and the movie Room, it kind of reminds me, and this made me think of Jack Frost and Jack Frost. Jack Frost, the horror movie with the serial killer snowman, and Jack Frost.
Wait, the one with Michael Keaton where he's a snowman?
Exactly, Michael Keaton. Yeah, I saw the what would you, not Red Letter Media, the Angry Video Game Nerd, that the movie show he does with his friends.
Yeah, they
did one of Jack Frost. It's a rental review. I think it's called.
Rental Reviews is I think what it was called.
Yeah, they did an episode on Jack Frost versus Jack Frost.
Oh, awesome!
And it's I can't remember what the consensus was, but I think they're all saying that Jack Frost, the serial killer horror movie, was much better than the Keaton one because it knew what it was, and it knew it was bad, and they're playing to that. And I remember when I was a kid, because these movies came out in like mid-90s. So I was like just a kid, but I remember going to like Family Video, and I would always like walk through the horror movie aisle because I loved looking at the covers of the VHS tapes. And the cool thing with the Jack Frost horror movie cover is that it had that like 3D, I don't even know what you call it, but like you tilt it one way, you tilt it the other, and a different image pops up. And so all of a sudden
it's like Van Lintier, where it's like from one angle it's one image, from another angle
yeah,
and
it's like in that, it's like on that plastic that you can like run your nail through, and it makes that zipper sound. And I always loved that cover so much because it had that, and then it would like look at this like really scary snowman. And what's crazy is that snowman on the cover does not look anything like the snowman that they created for that movie.
Right.
It is absolutely terrible.
Perfect example. That's the height of the 80s and 90s films, especially the height of straight to VHS, and straight to DVD, which is really not a thing anymore. Yeah. I mean, it is to an extent, but not like it was 10 years ago.
I feel like you'd really have to like go to like a Family Video, if there's any around, to actually see what's straight to DVD, because I think everything is like more straight to streaming.
But box art in our modern streaming universe, making box art that gets people to rent or watch a film that they would not otherwise, like Troll 2. I was telling you, the troll, the goblin on the, because it's not a troll, but the goblin on the cover and the actor on the cover are, neither of them are in the film, but that was the cover of the poster or the cover of the box.
Absolutely ridiculous.
And that's just, it's a lost art. And also biting off more famous films and using that that stylized art. Absolutely.
It kind of like reminds me again of like, remember when the Disney Pixar movie, it's a bug movie, A Bug's Life. Okay, remember Bug's Life came out? Yeah. And then the movie Ants came out?
Very close to one another.
Yeah, very close to one another. It's like Ants was piggybacking off of two different studios. Ants was like piggybacking off of A Bug's Life. And then when Finding Nemo...
Was that how it worked? Because I remember them coming out close enough that they would have had to have been in production at the same time. I don't want to say one way or the other.
Yeah, I know that there's like a term for it, because like the same thing happened with like Finding Nemo and A Shark's Tale. Kind of piggybacking off of each other, even though they're pretty different, but they're similar enough that you're like, what's going on here? And I know there's like a couple like other movies are like that have like the studios are so freaking similar that they're like piggybacking off of each other. And there's always one really good one. It's usually Disney movie or Pixar movie. And there's also one really bad one, which is usually like a 20th Century Fox.
Or DreamWorks. Is DreamWorks still a thing?
DreamWorks is still a thing, but to be fair, they have gotten a lot better since they've done Shrek. And Shrek is actually a very good series.
I forget that Shrek.
And they did Despicable Me, I believe, and then it moved to Illumination. So I don't know if Illumination's its own studio or if they're like a subset
still
of
with the
Minions.
The little
yeah,
I've actually never seen any of those movies.
Oh, really? They're really cute.
Well, the only thing I've ever seen is the little girl where she's like, "It's so fluffy.
It's so fluffy. I'm gonna die."
Yeah, that's about the only part of that I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's cute. My mom and I really like those movies, so like whenever they come out to the theaters, we'd always usually go. Like whenever my mom and I go to a movie, it's usually because we're going to go see a kids movie. Like I remember seeing Hotel Transylvania 3. I don't know if it was necessarily with her, but like Hotel Transylvania 2 or 3 came out, and I was having an extraordinarily shitty day, and all of a sudden I'm in tears, and I come home, and my downstairs neighbor Megan's home. She's like, "What's wrong?" It's like, "I just had a really bad day. I just need to do something that's gonna make me feel better. Will you come see Hotel Transylvania with me?" She's like, "Okay." And it's just like one of those things where it's just like a cute feel-good movie, and it takes your mind off of whatever bullshit you're going through for like 2 hours. That's the one thing I love about movies, is especially like the cutesy feel-good stuff.
Escapism.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We all need something that will help pull us out of it.
I'll be at work and somebody's like, "Hey, have you seen Benghazi?" I'm like, "No, I read about it in the news. I don't need to watch a fictionalized account of that movie."
Right,
I don't need to deal with that.
Yeah, sometimes I don't even, like, know what's going on as far as, like, streaming, like, what's the new, like, the whole Aaron Hernandez documentary on Netflix. I didn't even really know that was a thing, because most of the time I'm watching YouTube. I still have, like, Amazon Prime Video and then, like, Netflix, but more often than not, if I'm not watching a movie with you, we're watching YouTube.
Well, we have a list of movies to watch 100 miles long.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, we still have to watch First Blood.
Yes!
And Judge Dredd 95.
Oh my god! I completely forgot that you actually brought those, because, like, here I'm thinking, oh, well, we've just went through this whole stack of movies I just brought from work. We gotta watch The Killing Joke. But, oh my gosh, First Blood sounds so good right now. So, I think on that note, because we're going about 20 minutes here, I think we're probably going to cut it. We're going to keep this episode really short. Thank you so much, Kyle, for just doing this with me and taking the time off and spending it with me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
So
it's not the first one technically, but it definitely won't be the last.
No,
one.
It's not. Yeah. So if you guys out there are listening and you like what you hear, please let me know. Especially if you like these side slices where, you know, Kyle and I are just talking about movies or whatever. Because, you know, this was a podcast idea that you and I were thinking about, and obviously it'd be cool to incorporate this in with the rotation of stuff. I'm still trying to plan a time for Lanier and Lucas to come back so we can do more conspiracy theories and things like that. Hopefully get you in on that too, Kyle. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Remember, if you like what you're hearing, please share Murder Is My Sign with anyone you can, any way that you can. You can always connect with me on social media, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all at Jordy Death. That's JORDY Death. You can always email the show directly at murderismysignpodcast@gmail.com. And please consider becoming a patron and supporting the show at patreon.com/murderismysign, just like all my fabulous patrons that I have now. Michelle, Jake, Crystal, and Jessica and Holly. Love you guys. Thank you very much for your support. And then also, if you haven't already, if you could throw me a subscribe on YouTube. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers so I can create that unique URL for my page. I am working on creating some video content for that soon. So, yeah, otherwise than that, thank you guys so much for listening. Tune in next week. I will get the Ken and Barbie killers up, and it will be a great start to February. So, you got anything else you want to say, babe?
No, I'm good, I think.
All right. I'm good, too. All right, guys. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other, and rest in peace.